Welcome to the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video, where better sleep starts with better understanding.
Have you ever woken up from a dream that was just so weird you had to tell someone about it? Maybe you were flying over your house or you were back in school, but for some reason everyone was a dog. Well, you are not alone. That is a completely universal human experience, and it makes us ask a question we've been asking for, thousands of years.
So today, we're going to dive into one of the oldest mysteries of the human mind. It's a question that has fascinated everyone from ancient philosophers all the way to modern neuroscientists.
So, why do we dream? For centuries, that question really belonged to mystics and psychoanalysts. But now, today, neuroscience is starting to pull back the curtain. And let me tell you, the answer is way more fascinating than you might think, because it gets right to the very heart of how we learn anything at all.
Okay, so to really get where we are now, you have to see where we've been. Back in 1900, you had Freud, who famously said dreams were all about symbolic wish fulfillment. Then, fast forward to the 50s, we discover REM sleep, which gave us a solid biological link to dreaming. And by the 70s, the going theory was that dreams were just stories our brain made up to explain random neural signals. Now, each of these ideas got us a little bit closer, but they were all missing a really crucial piece of the puzzle.
So instead of asking what our dreams mean, modern science started asking a totally different question. What is the brain actually doing while we're asleep? And that brings us to the brain's night shift.
The whole answer really revolves around this one critical idea: memory consolidation. I want you to think of your brain as a librarian. All day long, it's just taking in floods of new information, new experiences, new skills. Then at night, while you're asleep, the librarian finally gets to work, sorting through everything from the day, figuring out what to keep, where to file it, and how it connects to everything you already know. That process, that's consolidation. It's turning those flimsy recent memories into solid long-term knowledge.
So, how does this librarian actually do its job? Well, during sleep, your brain doesn't just clock out. It actively replays the patterns of brain activity from your day. It's not just resting. It's a super active offline processing period where it strengthens the important connections and gets rid of the ones it doesn't need. Now here is where it gets really interesting, because this explains why dreams are so bizarre. See, when you're awake, your prefrontal cortex, think of it as the logical CEO of your brain, is running the show. But during REM sleep, that whole region kind of powers down. And at the exact same time, your amygdala, the emotional core of your brain, goes into overdrive. You've got low logic and high emotion. That is the perfect recipe for the wild, emotional, and totally illogical stories that make up our dreams.
Okay, so that's a pretty cool theory, right? But science, it runs on proof. So let's look at the evidence from the lab, the clues that really started to crack this case wide open.
Okay, you have to hear about this landmark experiment, the Tetris study. It was brilliantly simple. Researchers got 3 different groups of people, complete beginners, Tetris experts, and patients with severe amnesia, and had them play hours and hours of Tetris. Then, they would wake them up right as they were drifting off to sleep and just ask them, "Hey, what was just going through your mind?"
And the result was fascinating. A huge majority, 64% of them, said they were seeing images from the game. But, and this is the really important part, they weren't seeing the whole game. They just saw fragments, like the falling pieces, all by themselves, with no screen, no score, no hands on a keyboard. This was the first clear sign that dreams aren't perfect replays. They're built from the fragments of our day.
But here is the part that completely changed everything we thought we knew. How many of the amnesic patients, these are people who couldn't consciously remember that they had even played the game, how many of them reported seeing Tetris pieces? Get this, an incredible 3 out of 5.
One patient, who had 0 memory of playing, literally said, "I see little squares coming down on a screen." They were dreaming about an experience that, for all intents and purposes, had been completely wiped from their conscious mind.
And that was the bombshell. This proved that dreaming is tied to a learning process that is so deep, so fundamental, it doesn't even need the part of our brain we use for everyday conscious memory. It's happening on a whole other level.
So you take all these clues, the way the brain acts at night, the memory replay, the mind-blowing Tetris study, and they all point to one single elegant explanation: the memory consolidation hypothesis. So what is the memory consolidation hypothesis? Well, put simply, dreaming is what it feels like when your brain is doing its job of consolidating memories.
When you're dreaming, you are quite literally getting a front-row seat to the process of your own brain learning. And the data? Oh man, the data backs this up perfectly. Look at this. In studies where people learned something new and then took a nap, the ones who dreamed about what they just learned showed a massive boost in performance, sometimes 10 times greater than the people who napped but didn't dream about it. The dream itself seems to be the secret sauce for effective learning. And we're not just talking about video games here. This process of sleep-dependent learning affects, well, everything. It's how you get better at playing the piano. It's how your brain processes emotions so you can deal with them. It's how you remember effects for a test. It even boasts your creativity, which is why the old advice to sleep on a problem actually genuinely works.
So, okay, what does this all mean for you? And that bizarre dream you had last night? Why does any of this really matter?
It means that the strange, surreal story of your dream, that's not actually the point. The content is just the side effect. The real point is the incredibly important work your brain is doing just beneath the surface, integrating, strengthening, and making sense of your entire world so you can be better, smarter, and more capable tomorrow.
And this nightly process is absolutely vital. It is how we learn new skills, it's how we keep our emotions in check, it's how we come up with creative solutions to tough problems, and honestly, it's how we build a stable sense of who we even are over time.
So I'll leave you with this one thought. If your dreams are the experience of your brain learning, what are you going to teach it tonight?
Thank you for watching the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video. We hope you sleep well and dream easy.